So just enough time then, Michael, for the match to finish in the morning before yours. Will the girls be watching that first, the World Cup final?
Yeah, they're going to go for breakfast together in the morning. The kick-off's been delayed till 3 p.m, so they get a chance to at least watch the first half. Yeah.
And Paul was saying there that you worked with some of the players that are involved in the England squad. Which ones are those?
Well, I was at Sunderland for 15 years, so Lucy Bronze and Jordan Nobbs. Then I was lucky enough to work with England under 23s, so Millie Bright, the captain, and the goalkeeper, a couple on the bench as well, Beth England, so a few of the girls who were there, yeah. So
I guess it's quite proud moment for you to see them in the final then, and if they go the whole way, even more so.
Yeah, exactly. It'd be great for them, and I'll be willing them on, and yeah, I'm proud of what they've achieved. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your team here, and this is your first game since the join up between yourselves and the club. Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, I came in May when this was announced. So it's our first game. We've had a good pre-season. It'll be tough. It's obviously we're pretty much a new side, so I think I've made 12 or 13 signings. So we're looking forward to get going, and we'll just go about our business and see where it takes us.
Are you the big fish in the league then? Are you there to be shot at?
No, I'm not so sure. I think there's certainly 3 or 4 teams have put themselves up already that are going to win the league, and everybody feels the same. Really, we want to win the league, but we'll just go about our business. I don't think we're favourites. I think there's certainly 3 or 4 or 5 ahead of us, but we'll see where we go.
Sounds like a real start-up then, is probably the best way to explain if you're bringing in 13, 14 new. But how much of a challenge is that for you as a manager, bringing all these players together and hoping to have a positive season on the back of it?
Well, it was great really, because it was a blank piece of paper. I've got a way I want to play, I've got a vision and philosophy, so I was allowed to bring players in from the start to do that. So it's been really interesting bringing those players in and having the chance to recruit exactly what I need. Now it's just a case of the timing for things to work and to gel. We haven't had a long pre-season with regards to friendlies. We've only had 2, both against teams in the higher tier, which is great, but I would have liked 4 or 5. It hasn't worked out that way just because of cancellations and things out of our control. So hopefully we can get going nice and quickly, but we'll be patient and let things gel.
And do you think we're going to get to a time in the near future where every professional club, like we're seeing with Middlesbrough, like we've just seen in the last couple of years up the road with Newcastle, where every club's going to have a men's and women's team competing on a professional level?
I think that would be great if it happens, and I think that's certainly the way it's going. You look around the leagues and there's other clubs doing the same things in different tiers, and they're not in the Super League yet, but they're going along those lines. I think I've been in the game for 25 years in the women's game, and that ultimately is what every coach would want, for full support from clubs throughout the country.
Have you been in the women's game for 25 years, yeah?
Well, I was at Sunderland for 15 years. I kind of came out 2014, worked for the 23s really in 2015, and then went back into the men's game. So
what's the best way of describing how the women's game was, where it was when you walked in 15, 20 years ago, and where it is now? The differences. Yeah. What's the best way? Well,
it was a hobby. It was a hobby for the girls. They had to basically go to work, college, university, school, whatever, then come and play football. They were bagpacking to fundraise. They were getting kit that was men's kit, cast-offs, all of that. All those girls like Lucy Bronze and girls who were in the Euros last year were all my players, like Beth Mead and Jill Scott. They all played for Sunderland in oversized kit. And it's progressed to the point where clubs like Sunderland have got involved, and I think they've got a hybrid model now, and professional clubs like Chelsea. We were playing against all those clubs when they weren't, and they were all in the same boat as us. So it's came on massively. It's a great improvement. It's great to see, and it will clearly get better and stronger.
Thank you.
Michael, so when the players you've mentioned started playing for England, and we in the local media started taking an interest, at that point, could you have imagined that the game would have developed as much over 20 years as it has?
Not really. You kind of hoped. We were always following the US model, where they'd gone professional, but their league collapsed 2 or 3 times. So you thought, well, will it ever get going in this country? Because to be fair, I guess the FA had seen the pitfalls of what happened in America. I never thought it would get this level, to be honest. But it's great that it has.
And I mean, Keith's alluded to it. I mean, the pride you must feel, but I mean, a World Cup final is something else, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I mean, the Euros was massive last year. I was so proud of the girls who were involved last year. There was 6 or 7 of them last year. But this year it's brilliant to win the World Cup. Who'd have thought that England would be in a World Cup final? And the fact it's again 2 European teams, which again is brilliant. America aren't there, so their dominance is it's ended. And again, 2 technical sides on Sunday morning. It'd be brilliant to watch.
And the gallant loser tag, this team of women, this squad of women, it really seems to have a winning mentality, and I think that's gripped the nation's imagination. Hence the huge viewing figures for the matches.
I think so, and that's the difference, isn't it, from probably 10 years ago. It's good. It's a good spectator sport. People want to watch it and are interested in watching it, and it's good to watch. I mean, the England game yesterday, I thought England were brilliant yesterday. Technically very, very good. The system was excellent. It was good to watch. Not just as a coach, as a supporter. I'm watching it thinking, well, what the fans going to think of this? But it was really good.
But in your role, you're going to really see that enthusiasm, that momentum carrying over into the girls that you're coaching.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's the same with every local team. I guess the positive fallout from this is that there'll be girls who want to play the sport, and they're going to be the future England stars, because of the way that I guess England are performing last year and this year, and even going back to the Olympics from Great Britain in 2012. The way the game's grown in the last 11, 12 years is brilliant. And the girls are going to want to play this sport because they're seeing England do well. They've got new, I guess, heroes, and it's not just following the boys and having them as heroes. It's people like Beth Mead and Lauren James and whoever else who plays for England. They're the new heroes, and that's the way it should be. And
the importance of affiliating the Boro Women's team with the football club. That obviously, that sort of branding can really help. Don't just go and see the Boro, go and see the women's team in the same week. Which is
what we want. We want people to come and watch us, boys and girls, and at least now with Middlesbrough taking over the women's team, the girls in the area have something to aspire to, and then come and play for Middlesbrough Football Club. But we want the men to come and support us as well. We want the male supporters to come and support us. You've seen it on the telly, you've seen England, you've seen the Super League on Sky. Come and watch Middlesbrough, come and support Middlesbrough. We're not there yet. We're not Super League 1 standard, but that's where we want to be and that's where we're going.
Sure, you won't tell us what it is, but do you have a secret timetable for how many years you'd like to take to actually get to the top level?
I've got a realistic one, and I've got one that I'd like it to be as soon as possible, and I'd like to be a bidding process where the Super League extends and goes to 2 bigger leagues or even 3 leagues, and we would be applying for that. If it's promotions, I know it could take 3, and it'd be I'd be doing very well to get 3, but that's the aim, just to go for back to back and get promoted again and push on. That's not realistic. Maybe 5 to 7 years is realistic, but again, I'm not going to put myself under any pressure. It's a building process, as I've already alluded to. Really, we'll wait and see where we're at with the group I've just put together. I hope this is a successful season. It's one of them with a new team. It might not be. We might fall flat on our face for a few games and just get through the season and consolidate. Ultimately, it's about improving on last season where Middlesbrough were, which was just above relegation. So, I'm aiming high. I want to win the league the same as every other coach in women's football, but I'm also realistic.
Hi, Michael. You said about how you're in a position where you can kind of impose a brand of football on the team that you want to play.
Yeah.
What's that style going to be like? How would you describe it?
Well, without telling the opposition how I'm going to play, I like to play football, entertaining football. I'll leave it at that.
Fantastic. And just picking up on that point about inspiring people from the local area as well. How much of a talent pool do you think there is that's kind of untapped in the region that you can kind of access and bring into the club?
I think it'll be massive, and I think it's grown because of the televised sport. A lot of the players I worked with in the past, for example, away with England now, like Jordan Nobbs, they were influenced by watching teams on Sky Sports, Sky Games, because obviously Sky had a massive influence on the men's game. It changed it, and it was on all the time from, when I was a kid, I think it was the FA Cup final and not much else. But with Sky, football's not all the time. The girls started to fall in love with the game just the same as the boys, and they had their heroes. And that's the great thing. It's on all the time. The women's game's on the telly all the time now. So it's the girls are seeing that and think, well, I can do that. They realise it's a career opportunity now. It's not just what I mentioned earlier on, where you go to work, you finish work, you go and pack a bag in Asda to try and raise some money. It's never going to be a career. Now it's a realistic career opportunity. I want to be a vet. I want to be this. I want to be that. I want to be a footballer, and it's realistic. I think there's a massive talent pool out there. It's our job to tap into it, to have satellite clubs out there who we can work with, college programs, junior clubs, whatever. We find those players and we bring them into Middlesbrough and help develop them. And I wish I could look in the future 10 years, and I hope I'm still sitting here and see where Middlesbrough are. I'd like to think it's WSL 1, top end, competing with the likes of Arsenal, Manchester City, United, etc., etc.
And last question from me. You mentioned some of the Lionesses that you've worked with previously. Have you had any contact with them while they've been out there? Have you had any sent any messages of support or anything like that? No, the only one who I've been in contact with, because she's not really that busy, is Jill Scott, because she's just working over there. But no, and I don't kind of bother them. They're working, and I know they'll be on a pretty much a tight schedule anyway. And any free time they have, they'll be trying to contact their families. They don't need any kind of contact from me, but they know I wish them all the best. That's great, thank you.
Yeah, I've got Michael, looking at how much North East representation there's been in the England squad, obviously the Lionesses, and of course Sunderland Women have been a historically good side, and how well Newcastle United Women are progressing, how important is it to you that Middlesbrough, now affiliated with the club, becomes one of those and steps into that limelight as well?
It's massive, and it's the reason I've came back at the women's game. See, I was quite happy doing other things, and this opportunity came along, and it kind of lit the torch under me to think, yeah, there's a club worth going back in the women's game for. Other opportunities I had were further away, and I wasn't prepared to go and work away. But this has been the right opportunity, the right time, and I'm only doing it because I can see where Middlesbrough can go, and they can go right at the top. And it would be great to be side to side with Newcastle and Sunderland and Durham, in WSL 1. That would be great for the North East. There's a big enough pool of players in the area to accommodate 4 teams.
And just bridging on Tom's question there about the Lionesses you worked with when they were a lot younger, did you always have confidence, working with them at a younger age, that they could go right to the top and get to a World Cup final?
Well, I don't know if you ever think that World Cup final as such, but yes, international. So at the international level, because I didn't think they'd ever be as good as that with regards to the where we're, World Cups, Euros, etc., because England weren't there at that time. But I always thought they could go and play for England, and it's amazing. The main one probably being Lucy Bronze, obviously winning the Euros, chance to win the World Cup. She's won the Champions League 4 times. What a career she's having. Never thought she'd get to that level, and I don't mean that disrespectfully. I always knew she'd play for England, but you just didn't realise the opportunity she'd have.
Thank you.
You mentioned another player, obviously injured at the moment, but Beth Mead is mentoring at Teesside University, isn't she? So that's another sort of person that's really helping nurturing the talent, isn't she, at the moment?
Yeah. Again, I do keep in contact with Beth. It's such a shame that she's not there. And it's amazing that they've got to where they've got without her, really. But yeah, it'd be nice to have Beth back here one day. Yeah,
and fantastic to be about to have the first game straight after a World Cup final. What an opportunity! I know it's kind of strange. I wanted to enjoy the game Sunday morning, but I won't because I'm working. So when I get up from first thing that morning, my focus is on the afternoon's game. So it'll be in the background. I might watch it Sunday night, unless they get beat. But no, I'll not be able to enjoy it. I'm just working. But it's great for those who can. and tremendous to take the support from that. Hopefully we are celebrating, and that celebration could be watching Middlesbrough women, couldn't it?
Well, yeah, I mean, it would be great watching, for those who are watching the game in the morning, that'll kind of fire their enthusiasm, seeing England winning, and yeah, pop down the road and come and support us.